Coming up tonight, Fijian government welcomes statement on Commonwealth Ministerial Action report. Government remains committed to national development. And PM approves $1.9 million ration for Western Division flood-affected areas. Good evening, I'm Sandra Asan. The Fijian government has welcomed the statement issued by the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group, but has yet to analyze the report in depth. This follows the 37th meeting of CMAG in London last night, where the Commonwealth Group came up with 8 outcomes on Fiji. This afternoon, the Attorney General and Minister for Trade, Aya Syed Qayyum, held a press conference on the statements. Paradise Tundra with this report.
So trade unions in Fiji still exist. They still can operate. Of course, like in other organizations in other countries, they have various restrictions, in particular when it comes to essential industries. The fact that you have Fiji Times printing this today, I think today's or yesterday's paper, government's move is illegal, says ITF. Has that been restricted in any way? One can argue and say, well, it's a headline that could have not necessarily been written, but the fact is that it was written. You yourselves know that you report daily. Is there any restriction on you to be able to report what you want to report? There's absolutely no restriction on you. People who, these political parties have had meetings. You've had NGOs that have had meetings. You've had religious organizations that have had meetings. So where are the restrictions? You have political parties saying to overseas press there's restrictions on what we can say, but we don't believe what the government is doing is right. But the fact is that they're saying it, and nobody's stopping them from.
This was the reaction of the Fijian government following the statement released by the Commonwealth Ministerial Action Group, or CMAG, following their meeting in London last night. The Attorney General, Aya Syed Qayyum, says government is happy that the group has taken into account the announcement by the Fijian government with regards to constitutional consultation process that would lead up to elections in September of 2014. CMAG in their statement say the group has reaffirmed the Commonwealth's readiness to provide technical assistance for constitutional consultation and the election preparation, and that they will remain engaged with Fiji. However, in the very same statement, the group is urging the government of Fiji to restore full respect for human rights, including freedom of expression and assembly and the access to justice. Syed Qayyum has called on the local media and the public to be analytical themselves when such statements come out.
In fact, they refer to access to justice. Under the Bainimarama government, we have in fact given unprecedented amounts of legal aid. How can that be correct? Access to justice means people who can access justice, in particular those who are poor. We have opened up new offices, the latest being in Singatoka. We intend to open offices in Tavua, Rakiraki. We opened one in Nasori. We are doing work with the USP in respect of the legal students. How is that in any way, if anyone can explain, denying access to justice? Legal aid now gives advice on wills and probates. We have feeding rooms for pregnant mothers who come with the children in the legal aid office.
CMAG had received an update from the Secretary General on the recent developments in Fiji and from the Fijian government as well. Syed Qayyum says that the Deputy Secretary General, Mersire Mamba, who had been in the country last month on a fact-finding mission, had also spoken with other political parties as well and submitted her report.
The Prime Minister of Orenge, Bainimarama, has assured the people of Ra that government will do its best serving its citizens. The comments were made during his visit to Matawailevu in Ra.
In 2010, government allocated $30,000 for the implementation of the project. The project was to build a dormitory for the school to cater for the more than 60 students coming from afar to study at the school. With reports given to the Prime Minister yesterday, the project has not been completed due to the lack of funds.
Rendo tanabuno ela hokin ya ni kurnibuli. Ya na kai tukun chumai.
After a lot of discussion with the authorities and the school management, Prime Minister Bainimarama says that the construction of the building will be completed by the RFMF engineers. Along with the new building, government will also assist the school in the upgrading of the road leading to the school and their new water supply system. Manager of the school says they are thankful for the assistance.
Kem sa pwede mo sanora pwede mo kurul high school lebro ngono kem do ker aber police sa ko mo na urang prime minister sa ko mo ko na pwede na pwede sa pwede mo sara na bun bi ka ker sa mayal sayal aga din na pwede kem pwede na kurul high school.
High School has a roll of more than 400 students.
More than 10 private organizations queued up at the Prime Minister's office this morning to hand over checks, which will directly assist our brothers and sisters ravaged by the recent floods.
The ANZ Managing Director Pacific Operations and Chief Officer Pacific Neil Christensen this morning handed over a check of $25,000 to the Prime Minister Vurenge Bainimarama.
On behalf of the ANZ, it's great to be here today to be able to make a donation to the Prime Minister's Flood Relief Fund. Our hearts go out to the people of Fiji, and it's at times like this where it's good for a bank to stand beside the Fijians, and we'll certainly be doing that. Well, in the past, as catastrophes occur around parts of the world where the bank's represented, we will assess the catastrophe and make a donation to the countries affected. So we did this when we had the January floods, and we're doing it again this time.
Meanwhile, the Southern Division Snooker Association also donated a check of $5,300.
We have collected $5,300, and as a minor sport we did that over 2 tournaments, and we were able to collect this through entry fees and food sales and some auction.
The association held its first snooker tournament at the Defence Club in Suva, sponsored by David Ratnam.
I think all sporting bodies should come together. We are a very small sport, but I think we have done well to whatever we have, and I think it will go a long way to assisting some of the very poor and suffering people out there, and I think some of the major sports should also play the role as well.
Despite being affected by the floods, also making its donation is King's Neon Signs, which is located in Namaka, Nandi. The company, in its bid to support the Prime Minister flood appeal funds, handed over a check of $2,500.
I would like to let the public know that this is something really good done by the Prime Minister. So I'd like the people of Fiji to come forward and support this appeal, because we are basically from Nandi, and we have seen what the people there they need there.
Telecom Fiji Limited, being aware of what the people in the Western Division are going through, handed over a check of $10,000 despite experiencing damages to their major infrastructures. Leading the Coral Reef Alliance team, renowned TV producer Mano Risingatale and his team donated a check of $10,000.
We've been here since 2004, working primarily in the Kumbalau district.
Kumbalau.
Yes.
Kumbalau.
Yes. So we've been working with the villages that are the traditional resource owners of the Namena Marine Reserve.
Okay.
And we've been working with them since 2004, working on coral reef conservation primarily, but for us the coral reefs also, the ecosystem extends above the water to the human communities.
Other private sectors include Kasabia Limited, K. Bindi Bros Limited and Lothala Bay Secondary School.
We have the school students have brought in their donation for the Western Division side, and as well as a check, and for that they have felt sorry for their brothers and sisters who have been affected from due to the recent flood that happened, and these are their kind donation for the Western Division students.
Coming up after the break, Austrian ambassador pays a farewell call to head of state, and early morning blaze leaves family homeless.